we have our own January 6th type madness. So very few people, I think, in America have ever heard of the Coutts Four. These are 4 individuals who have been detained since the trucker protests. These 4 individuals were basically, the accusations against them served as the basis for invoking the Emergencies Act under Justin Trudeau, because the accusations were this peaceful protest in Ottawa, there was equal protests out in a place called Coutts, Alberta. And these 4 individuals, allegedly, according to the charges, conspired to commit murder against an RCMP officer. That's a Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer.
These guys are neo-Nazis?
These guys are, 3 of the 4 have outright clean records. They had jobs, they had families. One of the 4, from what I understand, had a record from juvenile, but was a functional adult, non-criminality in adulthood.
So they're white supremacists?
They're white. I mean, I guess you could fill in the blank after that. But so when the protest was happening, and you may or may not recall this, conspiracy to commit murder against an RCMP officer, CBC ran this article, showed front and center a cache of weapons that they seized. And it all looked scary. And
Was that the one with the spoon in it?
No. This is the one with a patch on a vest. We don't even know if they were ballistic vests. Apparently, one of them was a vest that you could only own with a license, but still lawful. So they arrested these men, February 2021, and this was the basis to say, look how violent this protest is. We need to invoke the Emergencies Act. And Trudeau invoked it. These men have been sitting in jail in remand since February 2021. No trial, no bail. Bear in mind, in Canada, the dude who ran over 4 protesters in Winnipeg, 4 trucker protesters, people suggest he was Antifa. It doesn't really matter. He ran over trucker protesters. He was given bail. An accused cop murderer in Ontario, given bail. These 4 guys have been sitting in remand, which is even worse than prison, for 4 years, and nothing. No trial. Publication bans on parts of the case, so people can't even know exactly what's going on. That's one thing.
Well, you said 4 years. Is it 2.5 years?
Sorry, it's been close to 2 years that they've been in jail. 4 of them.
Oh, okay.
4 individuals on charge. Now, conspiracy.
People are saying the trucker protest was 2022.
Whatever, it was 20. It was when it was. I screwed up on the date.
A year and a half.
So they've been in there for 500 and some odd days, close to
yeah, year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. Geez, the last 3 years in any case.
Yeah, they're a blur, man.
So they were arrested on conspiracy to commit murder. The CBC state-funded media runs this photo of these cache of weapons with the RCM tree. The picture was like Trump's classified documents. Like it's as though this is what they do in an investigation. You got a pending investigation. Let's mix all these weapons up, firearms, not weapons, and make it look very scary. They arrest them. They invoke the Emergencies Act. And you may recall they invoked this Emergencies Act, froze bank accounts, came in with a militarized police force, beat the ever-loving piss out of protesters. And then a year later, they had their investigation into the circumstances leading to the Emergencies Act as required under the law. We had a 6-week hearing in front of this commissioner for the government to justify invoking the Emergencies Act, which was the replacement to the War Measures Act, in order to justify violently suppressing the most beautiful protest the world has ever seen. 6 weeks. The Commissioner Rouleau comes out with a 2,000-page, 4-volume document, which relies heavily on this one incident of conspiracy to commit murder to say, yeah, there was violence, so Justin Trudeau was justified in invoking the Emergencies Act. And Justin Trudeau gets a little pat on the back, gets ratified in everything he did, but he said, yeah, but trying to get them to cancel insurance on trucks, that was too much. Freezing of the bank accounts was effective. And he was justified in invoking the Emergencies Act.
How violent was the suppression? I didn't really.
I was there. I was live streaming. There was concussive grenades. They were physically beating people. Like they were physically beating. Some of them were war veterans. This guy named Chris Deering, his body was literally ravaged, like blown up in, I think it was Afghanistan, but it could have been Iraq. It must have been Afghanistan because he's younger. He was literally detonated by an IED. 3 of his 4 comrades died. He was physically assaulted, cuffed behind his back. This is in the dead of winter. Hauled off, detained for like a couple hours with his arms behind his back. He lost his medals, which were on his chest when they were doing all this to him. Then they haul him off outside of Ottawa and dump him in the snow and let him make his way back. It was violent. And there was some footage of it where the CBC accidentally live broadcast police officers like kneeing like someone like it was a sack of potatoes. It was violent. And I was there the Friday and the Saturday where it was violently suppressed. Concussive grenades coming in like stormtroopers. They were butting people with their rifles. It's all, the video's out there. And then if you put this video on YouTube, the videos get demonetized because, control the dissemination of information. So the commissioner came in and said, Justin Trudeau was justified. There were people who were detained for months. This one guy, Pat King, for 5 months on nonviolent mischief charges, denied bail. This woman, Tamara Leach, Métis woman, detained for several weeks, denied bail because they said, if we let you go, you're just going to go promote more protests. The administration of justice will be compromised if we release you on nonviolent mischief charges. Political prisoners left, right, and center in Canada.
Tamara Leach, did she set up the GoFundMe? Is that
she was one of the organizers. She set up the GoFundMe. For everybody knows the GoFundMe was frozen. The monies were basically seized, but then returned to all the donors. Then they set up the Give, Send, Go, which raised $10 million in a day or two. They could never disperse those funds because the second it would have ever crossed the border into Canada, it would have been seized under the Mariva injunction. She wrote a book called Hold the Line. She was detained. I mean, for a total of like 50 some odd days. One of the reasons she was detained was for alleged breach of her bail terms because she went to a gala to receive a freedom award by this not-for-profit called the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. And she took a picture with a guy that she had a no communication order with.
Wow.
They haul her back, put her back in jail. She spent a total of like some 50 some odd days in jail. Non-violent mischief charges. Another guy, Pat King, Chris Barber. I mean, and the Coutts Four. Nobody talks about it. Partially because there's publication bans. They had gag orders. But it's a full hermit kingdom of, they say, like injustices, political prisoners that the world doesn't know about. And I think America should be paying a little more attention to. This will trickle down.
Are there significant laws or have there been court decisions preventing people from talking about this stuff?
Well, they're not. They sanction it. They'll sanction it. I mean, they've put publication bans on certain aspects of these cases. As far as I understand, pertaining to the evidence or the lack thereof. But it's just an amazing thing. They gag the defendants while they're out. They don't let them go on social media. They don't let them tweet. They don't let them talk about it. Tamara Leach was only recently allowed to even give interviews. And then meanwhile, these four guys are sitting in remand. They called me from prison. It was a week ago. It might be a week. I forget if it's a week or 2 weeks now. And I spoke to all four of them. It's like, it's amazing that they can remain optimistic, but they've been sitting in jail and very few people are talking about it.
This is the... So you say the name of them?
Coutts Four. Coutts 4.